Bueno, pues a nombre de MERS les agradecemos que estén aquí en este simposio. Y bueno, el día de hoy vamos a tener a dos médicos que nos van a hablar de STEMIN y de raíz. Inicialmente va a estar el doctor Prager. El doctor Prager, bueno, es miembro de Dermatologicum Hamburg desde el 2001. Después de haber completado sus estudios en la Universidad de Freien Berlín, inició su carrera en el campo de la dermatología en el Hospital de Regensburg. El doctor se especializó en cirugía y en dermatología estética y ha publicado en diversas revistas médicas. Les presento al doctor Prager, quien va a iniciar con la presentación de STEMIN. Muchas gracias.
Thank you for the kind introduction and the second time that I'm here in Mexico City. It's a pleasure that you invited me again, and I hope I can share my experience of filming, which I've already for more than 6 years with you, and tell you a little bit about my experience and how to use it, where to use it, how to compare it to other products. There are already many studies on the market, and then there are more than 2,600 patients on comparative studies in aesthetic and medicine. And in aesthetic alone, there are around 1,700 patients. And all of them prove a 1-to-1 equipotency of STEMIN to Botox. And I will show you all, you can see in a couple of different studies that you really can change it in a 1-to-1 dose ratio. I also had the same problems like you when STEMIN came into the market. It turned me that a new product also always has to prove the efficacy if it is the same as the product with which we were working before and with which we could achieve very good results. So the products which are on the European market, I think it's basically the same like here. That's the STEMIN, the Botox and the Dysport, and these, I will focus on these three products and give you some information on these products. When you look at the products, so you also have these names, onabotulinumtoxin, indobotulinumtoxin, and avobotulinumtoxin, the scientific names which refer to the brand names. And what, in my opinion, is very important is that you have the lowest amount of the botulinum neurotoxin in the product. And you also see that you have the mean procedural protein content compared to the other two products is 0.44 nanograms, which is completely equal to the amount of neurotoxin content. So there's no other foreign body protein in the preparation, and therefore you might have a lower risk of getting an antibody formation. Here you see the agenda. I will show you a few studies on the approval, also the FDA approval studies, then studies about dose finding. We also did a retrospective study on how it is used in daily practice. I also have 2 studies to share with you on onset and duration, and last but not least I will show you a few examples of treatments. These are the 2 studies which were performed for the licensing, for the approval of the FDA in the US. And in this study, around 700 patients or 600 patients were included in a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 patients the substance, 1 patient the placebo. This is what the FDA requires. And like in these other studies, you know, they are going for moderate to severe glabellar frown lines. But what is different, you have a different outcome. The FDA requires now a 2-point improvement on the facial wrinkle scale. And additionally, it's also a primary composite endpoints. So the 2 points, improvement on the facial wrinkle scale, they have to be judged by the patient and by the physician. And that is why the outcome of the study is much lower compared to other studies you might know. And sometimes if you read through this data, you might be confused because you see there's only 76% response rate of the product. But that is again a 2-point improvement on the facial wrinkle scale. So this is what you definitely have to keep in mind when you compare these studies to the previous studies you know. Another study, also on glabella lines, again with 20 units on the glabella lines, 105 subjects for the severe glabella lines, 5 infection points, and primary endpoint was at 4 weeks, and also we got data on 3 months. Like in the other studies, you see also 4 weeks results and 3 months results. But I can also show you data on efficacy up to 6 months. You see here, when you look at a 1-point improvement on the facial wrinkle scale, you get almost 100% at 4 weeks and around 80% at 3 months. And this goes in line with the patient's assessment, also around 100% at the 4-week appointment and around 80% at the 3-month appointment. For the dose finding, there are different studies. This was actually the study which was performed for the approval in Germany. And in this study, they were examining around 400 patients, and this study compared theory to Botox in a 1-to-1 ratio in the glabella frown lines. And on this study, there was a different detection pattern with 24 units
¿Puedo sentar aquí a dos doctores? Son muy importantes. ¿Sí?
and also the patients were assessed after 4 weeks and after 3 months.
No, pero nada más para allá.
Again, like in the other studies, between 95 and around 95% outcome for both products after 4 weeks and around 80% outcome after 3 months, and exactly no difference between these 2 preparations. So on a 1-to-1 ratio, they could be exchanged easily. And therefore, both products are equally effective. Then I don't know whether you have seen this study. This was just a poster on a meeting in France last year. And in this publication, Allergan was examining 20 units of Botox, comparing it to 30 units of CME, in order to find out whether there is a difference in the outcome of these 2 products, or whether they would have the same outcome even with these different dosages. And they were examining that up to 112 days. And at the end, the result was that 20 units of Botox were equally effective to 30 units of theobromine. But the problem of this, and therefore they say, or they claim that Botox is more effective, but they forgot to do the control study, and that's what we then did. We examined exactly the other way around. So 20 to 30 units is a 1-to-1.5 ratio. We did not a head-to-head study, we did a split phase design. And we did 2 injection points per side. And on one side, we were injecting twice 4 units of theobromine, and on the other side, we were injecting twice 6 units of Botox. And if you would add this up to 5 injection points, then you would also have the same ratio, 20 to 30 units. And you see that it would be very obvious in a split-face design if there would be any asymmetry. You would see that immediately. And you see here over 4 months, no difference on the two sides of the patient, no asymmetry, and you see that for all the patients. And what you also see that there is still, after 4 months, also for both preparations, an improvement of more than 1 point on the facial wrinkle scale. So using it the other way around, and using more product Botox compared to less product of Xeomin, you still get the same results, and therefore I don't think that one or the other product is superior. I just think that upon a certain level, you will get a saturation of the botulinum toxin receptors, and you will not have an additional effect. I myself was treated a couple of years ago by the Karatas, and they really do use very high dosages, and they were using 100 units of Xeomin in my forehead, and it did not have a better outcome compared to the usual dose I use normally. So we followed up the patients up to 6 months, and you see that even after 6 months, a higher dosage does not improve the outcome of the toxin, and you still have a 50% response rate. That means the response rate in this case was a 1 point improvement on the facial wrinkle scale. So after 6 months, still half of the patient had an improvement of 1 point on the facial wrinkle scale. Another conclusion I would draw from this study is that we did not treat the procerus muscle. And you see that there is a depression of the medial eyebrow, but at the end we still have an elevation of the medial eyebrow. So for me, I now use very often this injection pattern with only 4 injection points. And when you look at the anatomy, there is a very good anatomy textbook from Ingalina and Celidic, and they were examining the motor neurons for the corrugator and the procerus muscle. And when you look here, they are very close to each other. So if you treat the motor neuron from one nerve, you also treat it from the other nerve. So probably 4 injection points would be sufficient, and then you could even lower your dosages. You could go to you could lower that from 20 units to 4 times 4 injection, 4 times 4 units, so you can lower that to 16 units for the better crown lines. The next study will be on daily practice. This was a retrospective analysis to figure out how the different botulinum toxin preparations are used on a daily clinic basis in Germany. 21 centers participated in this study, and the patients had to have at least 2 but not more than 3 treatments within a 12-month period. And you see more than 1,200 patients, treatment indications, glabellar frown lines, horizontal forehead lines, and crow's feet in a quite high number. And we had the most part of the patients were treated with Xeomin, but there was a number high enough for statistical analysis for Botox to analyze it statistically. The dice rotations were not enough in this study. And what also could be calculated that a certain amount of patients also change between the products, so you could see whether there is a different dosage necessary or different interval. So I will show you the data by the way. So these are, we started with one product and then they switched to the other. And the physicians did not find any difference in using the different products, and they were well tolerated and effective. And here you look at the average interval, and you look at it without product change. If it is intrabotulinum toxin or onabotulinum toxin, both of them were around 25 weeks. And in the second interval also, it was around 22 weeks. So no difference between the two populations. And this slide is about the mean total dosages, which were applied to the patients with or without product change. And when we first look at dosages without product change, you see around 19 units, around 18 units, around 18 to 19 units, so no difference. And also when the products were changed, it's also around 17 units, here around 17 to 18 units, and also here around 18 units. So they were completely used in the same way in daily practice. So that also reflects to the studies we have seen that there's no difference. And now onset on duration, we've seen a study where I already showed a 6-month duration with a very good outcome. This is a study in Krauss where we examined comparing theanine to Botox and theanine to Dysport in a 1:1 or a 1:3 ratio. And what we see is that still after 4 months, 16 out of 20 patients have a more than 1 point improvement. You see the clinical data, and when you look at the data comparing theanine to Dysport, you also see that here you have a facial interface, you have a more than 1 point improvement also with these two products, and there's no difference again also between these two preparations. What I think is a very good finding is that at rest the improvement is even better, and that's a very nice outcome for our patients, that at rest they get a better improvement of their Krauss speed compared to the contraction. And this study was about the onset, but we also had to have a follow-up of 5 months with theanine alone. In this study, we performed at the around the same time as the SATA study with 24 units was performed. That's why we were using 25 units, typically administered in 5 injection points with 5 units each. So nowadays, I also would use here 4 units per injection point. Here you see the administration. And here, of course, at rest, you don't see the high differences, but when you look at the data at maximum count, you see that already at visit 2 to 4 days, we have a response rate of around 95%, which improves only slightly over the following 2 weeks. You see here after 4 months, an improvement of 2 points, almost 2 points on the facial wrinkle scale, and after 5 months still an improvement of 1 point on the facial wrinkle scale. And here you see the outcome of one patient following the follow-up of 5 months. And now last but not least, I will show you a few examples. And you all know how to treat the Bella crown lines, but I think there's two things I want to mention is since all these muscles overlap very much, we need to treat very close to the orbital rim, so between 0.5 to 1 centimeter, otherwise we would treat the frontalis muscle